Hey, Matt, Pitman and Mike Salk back with you as we continue to break down some of the elements of this Mariner team that breaks camp, gets ready to open up the season Friday night at 7:05 here on 710 ESPN Seattle. Mike, we took a look at the rotation, and now let's transition out to the bullpen. And this is where I think there are so many unanswered questions for this club, even more so than an offense that we don't know if they're going to score runs or what they're going to look like. Let's start with the pen, though, and let's start from the back end of the pen, and that is the man who will be charged with closing games, at least to start the season in Brandon League. Didn't have a very good camp, and look at what it has done to the rest of that pen now. Your setup guys all of a sudden, Tom Wilhelmsen and Josh Lukey. Oh, by the way, how many combined pitches have they thrown in the big leagues?
Zero. Chris Ray will be there as well as a setup guy, and I think that probably helps. But yeah, I think the end of this bullpen is something to be worried about if you're a Mariners fan. It was 2 years ago when this team had some success, David Aardsma stepping into that role and really locking down the ninth inning, and now he starts the year on the disabled list, has the hip issue. I'm not wild about Brandon League as a closer. I don't know. It doesn't get me excited. But I will say this. Bullpens are fickle, man. There is nothing more fickle in all of baseball than a bullpen pitcher. One year they're fantastic, and the next year they're god-awful. And it's not until you can string together 2-3 years in a row with continued, consistent success that you become a Mariano Rivera, a Joe Nathan, a Jonathan Papelbon, somebody that you believe you can actually count on to finish out a game. Other than that, they're just relievers we happen to throw the name closer onto. Can Brandon League be that guy? He definitely has good enough stuff for it. Will he be that guy? That's obviously another question.
Late innings concern. The front side of the bullpen, I think, might actually end up being a strength of this club. When you look at, I consider it to be 3/5 of the rotation that you don't know what you're going to get as far as how deep these guys are going to be able to go in games. And Bedard, Pineda, obviously. Doug Fister's a big question mark. Now, when you all of a sudden look down there and you've got a David Pauly and an Aaron Laffey, guys that can come in and eat up 3 innings at a time, that's an advantage for this club.
And guys with starting experience as well. David Pauly, of course, started and actually pitched very well on this staff at the end of last year. Earned himself a job once again this season. I completely agree. Those guys are going to be called upon often. However many times Eric Bedard can only go 5 or 5 2/3. However many times Michael Pineda hits a pitch count early. If Doug Fister has the problems continue from the spring into the regular season, you're going to need people in the 5th, 6th, 7th innings. Those may very well be the guys, and I think that could be, as much as you hate to say it, a strength for this team.
David Aardsma sometime in April expected back, and then you got Dan Cortez, who's waiting down at AAA. So there is a little bit of depth there, and the biggest piece, you get Aardsma back sometime in the first month of the season. Let's look at the M's bullpen as they kick off the season coming up Friday night, 7:05, the first pitch with Felix on the mound, and on 710 ESPN Seattle.